welcome back again to the Aldrich Salvage Workshop, where we've just spent 4 years restoring this 1975 Bedford truck. Looking good. We've still got a few things left to do. So what's happening in this video, Tim?
Well, this video is going to be all about our sticking list. All the little bits and pieces left at the end of a project, the bits we got to find and work on, make some bits and try and get rid of as many things as we can off that list. Because when there's nothing on the list, it's done.
Oh, won't that be nice? Yeah, I'm going to catch you up a little bit on a couple of extra things as well, like what our plans are for the upholstery. And also we are going to talk a little bit about our plans for the next few months and the transition between the restoration and building the camper on the back. So stick around for that.
Let's get going.
Well, it's been a while since our last video, so there's a fair bit to catch you up on this week. There is a ton of itty-bitty annoying jobs from our appropriately named sticking list, which we've been slowly working our way through. From fitting the horn, finding drain plugs and making washers, to fabricating brackets for the rear lights. These are all the things we have to do before we can call this Bedford finished.
Hooray!
But more importantly, make sure you stick around to the end, because we'll be having an honest chat with you about our plans for this year and what the future holds for the truck and our original dream of transforming this former fire engine into a house on wheels. Is it still happening?
So let's sell the truck and move on to something else.
Find out in this video.
So you might remember a couple of videos back we went through the big sticking list of things that, well, we're kind of stuck on. So I thought I'd come back to this and just let you know how we're getting on. Now, one of the biggest things on this is the brakes and the master cylinder. And we actually just want to say a huge thank you to Wickus. I'm not sure if I'm saying your name right, so please forgive me if I'm not. But Wickus contacted us. He has a Bedford truck and he's actually converted his back brakes from hydraulic to air brakes. And he gave us a load of information about how he did this and suggested it might be something that we want to do. Tim will talk about that when we actually come to doing the brakes. At the moment, Tim's still pursuing the hydraulic brakes and wanting to kind of stick with that. But it is a really interesting thing that Wickus has done and yeah, worth coming back to. So we'll talk about that later on. So what else? Well, what have we done on the sticking list? Tim, what have you done on the list?
The side steps.
Fantastic. Anything else?
Not quite. We're still technically in February, still winter time, and it's been atrocious. The weather has been awful. It's been raining, been freezing, but we did have one day when the temperatures went slightly over 10 degrees. So I took the opportunity to get out a couple of bits that I've been waiting to do. Some bits that were powder coated with our chrome powder coat, but as we've explained before, it tends to go a bit grey, so they needed a little coat of lacquer. So over 10 degrees, I took the opportunity and sprayed a couple of the bits that we've had kicking around with some lacquer, just to stop them going grey, and now I can put them on. So this is one of the grab handles as you get in, and these go in here, just so aid getting in and out. So I'm going to put them on. Some nice new bolts. I say new bolts, replated bolts. And I've got my soldering iron ready to poke some holes in the carpet, and that'll be another little thing, not technically on our sticking list, but something that still needs to be done. One thing that is on our list, I think, was to get some more bolts for our actual side steps, and again, thanks to Nick, we might have a few more bolts, and there might be enough now with cutting a couple of them down to actually fit these on, so I might be doing that today as well. And maybe these window surrounds, so they go up around the windows. But I shall put these handles on now.
It feels like a million years since we powder coated all these parts, and then with the Bedford in pieces we really had to use our imagination when deciding which colours and finishes to apply to all the details, such as the grab handles and these window surrounds. And it's only now, all these months and years later, that we can actually get to see what it looks like. We created our basic colour scheme of brown, black and white so we could add in the extra details of silver, gold and bronze later. It's all been a bit freestyle, to be honest, but we're artists, so we've trusted our instincts as we've gone along. And we're not quite finished with the colour adds yet either. There's still the name badge and sign writing, so maybe a few more surprises to come yet.
Certainly getting through the list up there, been very busy. We now have the washers are needed for the cab to mount onto the chassis. So these are going to get bolted on. Really cool is the big fat washer that was for the prop shaft. Now I've got that, I can actually put the prop shaft back on and it won't be sitting on the floor over there in the corner. So I'm looking forward to getting that prop shaft back on. We also got our little fuel plug. This came from Vaughan. After our last video and our list that we have up there, a friend of ours, Vaughan, he said he might have some bits for us and he's come up with this little plug. Now this goes in the petrol tank and it's got a tapered thread on it. I don't know how he managed to have something that was exactly that, but we got this out, screwed it in and it's a perfect fit. So we now have that little plug, and I have worked out the bits I needed for the air tank, so I don't need them. So they're effectively ticked off the list as well. And on the other day when we went out to our favourite store, Trago Mills, I picked up another second horn. It's only a cheap one, but well, we got another horn. So I'm going to get that on and see if that makes a difference to the sound. So plenty more things to do, so I'm going to get on with some more of those and get some bits bolted on. So that's brilliant. We're getting there. More things ticked off the list. This is the body mounts, the bit that mounts the actual cab onto the chassis, and there's some rubber mounts on the chassis. The washer I've just made is the one that goes on the bottom. And when we first put it together, I put it together how it came apart. It was all marked out, it's even drawn down in my book. But I put it together and thought, this isn't right. So there's a washer on the top, the big black one, and another silver one. That fits in there and it's got a notch out of it, so it will fit in there. And then underneath is the rubber bit, that it's got a rubber mount. And that's where I felt there was a washer missing. So this one is now the same size as that mount. So that's the bit I've made. And now we can bolt them back on with our new nylock nuts. So yeah, once I get that bolted in, we'll be much more secure. The front one seemed okay, but yeah, it looked like at some point it's lost the washers. But I feel much better about that now. Okay, so the other washer that you've seen me making rather than buying, I thought the chances of getting one exactly the right size are so slim. That's the old one that broke. We're going to go and fit this on. Because once this is on, it means that we can actually put the drive shaft back on, which is brilliant news. So let's get this back on. This fits on the back of the transfer case, and what it is basically is bolting on this flange bit. It's got a spline shaft on it, stops it rotating, and that's the washer that goes on there. Bolt goes around, and there's a tab there with a pin in it, which fits in there, stops it undoing. Once we get the bolt in, we turn the other side of the flange, the lock washer over to lock it in place. And hopefully we won't crush this washer and break that one, like the last one. give it a punch. Scraping all the paint off. Right, that should stop that turning around. Bit of a mess, isn't it? That's not going anywhere. Okay. Okie doke. All we've got to do now is get that up there. Get that on. Lovely bolts. Okay, right. Which one's the closer? Those two. So, I think it goes that way round. Oh, he's heavy. Cool. On the outside. Is that one on?
Yeah.
That should be enough. I don't think I can get that one on. Right, that's the front bit. That's really cool. Just got to get the back bit on now. Right. Just realised, although we might be ticking something off the list, we might actually also be putting something back on this, because I've only got 3 bolts for the back one. And I don't know if anyone remembers, but when I took this off, when we were removing it, it was a heck of a job, because these were so tight and rusted in that we thought they were actually welded in place. But yeah, I've got to get one more bolt.
Oh, it's so dusty.
Oh, I can't turn it still. This might be difficult to torque it up because the nuts are on the wrong. Effectively, the nuts are on the wrong side to get a torque wrench on it, but I can't see that it would be very difficult for us to put them in from the other side, so we'll have to stick with that. Okay, right. Well, the prop shaft's in place. Just need to get the spanners out and make it a bit more permanent.
There's a lot to see, a lot to do. Recently I've realized I like doing it all with you.
So one of the big things on our sticking list, which is super important in one sense, but not that important in terms of getting the truck up and running, is the interior beautifications, and obviously the main part of that is the seats, which is these. Now, as you can probably tell, they're in a right old state because it's probably the last thing on the truck that we haven't so much as looked at for the last 4 years. Now, we've got some ideas for these. Having gone through a few of the options, we've decided what we want to do with them. The first option was obviously just to get them cleaned up and put back in, because they're not actually, underneath all the grime, in that terrible a state. But we didn't really want to just put them in as black, plasticky looking seats, because that's not really the vibe we're going for with the truck. The second option would be to just get some seat covers and whack them on, and you know, jobs are good and everything. But again, not really us, is it, after all the details we've gone to doing everything else. The third option would be to get them upholstered by a professional, and there's a couple of ways that we could maybe go about that. We could just literally send off the patterns and get them upholstered, or we could buy in some material, make up the patterns ourselves, and then maybe send them to a seamstress to sew them up for us. And the final option, of course, is that we do it ourselves. So we're going to do it ourselves. Now, this involves maybe buying an industrial sewing machine. Tim did actually go down to a chap in our local town who does upholster the interiors of camper vans, and he was incredibly helpful to us and very encouraging as well. He gave a lot of advice on what kind of sewing machine we might need, and basically said to us, yeah, you can do it. You know, you might need to have a bit of a steep learning curve on it, but it's not rocket science. You can do it. So we thought, yeah, we're gonna give it a go. So the main sticking point for us at this point is that a sewing machine, an industrial sewing machine with all the gubbins that we need, plus obviously some really nice materials to make up the upholstery, is going to be quite pricey, and it's not really top of the priority list yet. So we thought we'll just stick a pin in it for now, and we'll come back to it later this year when we've maybe got a bit more cash in the bank. I thought that was it. I thought, okay, we'll just forget about that for a while. And then one day Tim just came home and he said, I've got a sewing machine. So this happened.
Wow. On our quest for reupholstering the seats that go in the truck cab, we needed a machine. And the upholsterer I spoke to said there's a few criteria for that. It needs to be able to use very thick thread rather than just thin weight cotton. It needs to be industrial. And it also needs this other thing called a walking foot, which helps you feed the materials through. And these kind of are proven to be a bit difficult to get hold of. There's not so many of them about, and they're quite expensive if you see them about. I've spoken to everyone I know, all different people, and just put the word out there that I'm on the lookout for something, hoping I might find something to be able to use. And one of those people, Kevin, hi Kevin, he said, I've got a machine, but it's not a walking foot machine. So I went and had a chat to him, and he didn't want much for it, had a look at it, and then unfortunately, when we looked at it, it was kind of seized up. So the price he wanted for it dropped to a lower level that I could afford, which was nothing. And so here we have the junk sewing machine. Now, this is an industrial one. It is seized up, hence the price. And I'm hoping that this isn't a large mistake, and with a little bit of work, I can actually get this running. Now, it probably won't do the jobs we really need it to do, but it's also, I know nothing about these things. I have no idea how to use a sewing machine. And maybe it will just give us a little bit of practice before we can find the machine that we really need to do the job. And who knows, maybe this can do it.
Yeah, so obviously it's not like Tim's gone out and spent 500 quid on a brand new sewing machine. Oh, no. He knows a bloke who knows a bloke who knows a bloke who's got one just hanging around a boatyard somewhere. So he just went and got it for nothing. For once, Tim and I are actually in perfect alignment with our ideas of how we want these seats to look. Just give you a little bit of a hint. It's going to be some brown leather, and maybe a central insert of some nice check or plaid in some pretty cool 1970s colours. So it's going to be really, really cool. I'm saying that, but we've got to make it. So we're going to do a bit of practice first so we don't make an absolute pig's ear of it. Chances are we'll end up sending it off to a professional anyway, but we've done everything else ourselves. I don't think there's any reason for us to stop doing that now, do you?
Every time I look at you, you're looking back at me, my dear.
It goes up there somewhere. Oh, I see. Goes up there. Right. Okay. Right, we have to put the bolt through. That slide. Okay, and then get them through the back. Get a wire, earth wire. I only need 3 hands sometimes. Right, I need a spanner to do that up. And I think, does that say horn on it? Offside horn. Okay. Right, guess we can try it out and see if it works. Ooh. Just take my step bin. He's not my real bin. Oh, that is loud. Is that better?
Yeah. Oh! Oh my God, Steph. You made my ears ring.
Right. Brilliant!
Ah,
Another thing to tick off the list.
my ears are ringing.
One of the other things on our list up there, the sticking list, I think it says rear light mounting bracket. What this means really is some arms to put the rear lights that we have and be able to mount them on. This probably isn't going to be a permanent thing because with the truck being built, there might be all sorts of different things going on. The lights might get changed, who knows? But in the interim, we need some way of putting the lights up there. And I had a look round and I found a few bits of metal, steel, very heavy. I was about to cut them up and I thought, that's going to be a bad times trying to cut through this and like shape it all and all that. It's hard work. But I had another look and I came across a piece of aluminium. It's a lot lighter, especially when it's a bit of a length. I only got limited places I can bolt this onto the chassis because I don't want to drill any more holes if I don't have to at the moment. So if I can get that to go on, brilliant. I've made up some little templates that fit on the back of the lights and I'm going to extend them across, cut this thing out, see if it works, and we'll have somewhere to hang our lights up. And also there's just enough length in there, probably, possibly, to get a number plate on. No light for the number plate though, but something else to work out.
This girl went to town at night, she got blinded by the fancy lights. You realize you cannot wait to live till tomorrow. So the girl stayed at the yard, she found all the things you have to know about life. What if Jesus had a brother singing Sunny Tuesday, 'cause 'cause some days raining and I can't afford to hear the answers knocking on my door. Feel less lady, ring the doorbell. I'm sitting in the living room with these ironic words. There's a way that makes you feel stronger. Got you leaving at the times you wonder. Stay on tune, we'll get older. Some days raining and I can't afford to hear the answers knocking on my door. Feel less lady, ring the doorbell. I'm sitting in the living room with these ironic words. Would you believe in that? If the lie has made the die.
Well, with a little bit more cleaning up, that's turned out pretty good for a bit of old scrap aluminium. It's a little flimsy, not really heavy duty like the rest of the truck, but I'm just trying to make this up with what I've got around, and I figure that should this hit anything, at least this might bend and maybe the light will get a bit more protected and won't break. And this isn't a permanent thing. This is just temporarily so that we can use it with the lights on it. At some point, I'm sure something else will be made up. But yeah, that's not too bad. It's come out all right. I was gonna try and bend it at the end to mount it, but this is about 6mm thick and I can't bend it. Yeah, I can't. So I was gonna cut it and then halfway and then bend it and then weld it up, but I don't know if I can be bothered. So I might just, got a bit of strong angle steel, might mount that onto the chassis and then bolt that on. And I can always go back to that and change it at a later date if I need to. But that's one done. That means I've got to do the second one. So I better get on and start cutting the piece number 2 out. But yeah, I love it when you get an old bit of metal and you just cut your part out and it just transforms it. It's just really cool.
has made lay the down.
What have we accomplished? Let's just skip past.
Most of it.
Let's skip past those ones and not look at them.
We've
Yes.
got the Vaughan drain plug.
The Vaughan drain plug.
Hooray! We've got the cab to chassis mount washers ×2.
Yes, the slightly bigger washers that were homemade. Yes.
We've got a horn. Oh,
We certainly do.
we all heard that, didn't we? My ears are still ringing from that. We got that.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes!
Yeah.
That was a big one.
They look really good. They might be temporary. We don't know what's going to happen with the rest of the box, but I'm sure they won't be on there forever. But yeah, that's that.
Oh, we've got, that's
Yes.
in progress.
A work in progress.
In progress. We found something that will do the job.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I have an N on order. An N is coming in the post. So I might be able to do that one, but it's not done yet. That's a no. And no to those. No to that. No to that.
And we are on it.
That you can tick that one off.
Can I?
Yep.
I don't remember that.
That's because I did it off camera and
Camera.
I've actually found some stuff amongst the things I had and we're happy with that. Also, we missed that one.
Ah, the washer on the rear drive shaft.
Yeah. So obviously now we have the drive shaft
Oh,
in place.
thank God. Yeah.
So I reckon that's pretty good.
So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, and there is one thing though. We need to write something else on here.
Oh God.
Because I'm missing a bolt now for the drive shaft.
Okay.
Drive shaft bolt.
I'll add it here.
Make it really
One
small.
Missing bolt.
How am I going to know
Sad
what that is?
face.
I don't know what bolt that is. All right, yeah, that's good. The list is looking better. A couple more are works in progress. It's these ones up here, the brakes. That's the tricky one. And maybe we also need a walking foot industrial sewing machine on here as well. Anyone out there got a proper nice industrial sewing machine? That would be handy. Anyway, yeah, that's the list.
Good. Right.
Right.
Let's talk about what we're going to do next, shall we?
All right, here now in front of this board
No,
here.
not here. Let's,
Oh yeah.
let's switch locations.
Let's reconvene. Let's get a cup of tea.
Let's get a cup of tea and reconvene in a minute. Don't go
Yeah.
away.
Well, again, the sad time. It's coming towards the end of the video, but don't rush off yet. We're gonna tell you of a few of our plans that we have. We've been promising for ages. Over to you.
Well, as I'm sure most of you are aware who have been following us for all this time, we've just spent the last 4 years restoring this massive truck. That was probably about 2 years longer than we expected it to take us. Now, at the beginning of those 4 years, we had a budget and we had a location and we had a plan. Well, we've still got the location, but we no longer have the budget and the plan went out the window a long time ago.
Yeah, most of the budget got spent on our rent and stuff. Not that actually that much money actually has been spent on the truck itself, paint and things like that, but not nearly as much as you might imagine.
Most of our original budget has gone on paying the rent for the workshop and our living expenses. Now, we started off this project while COVID was still going on, so neither of us was really working at the time, and we were doing this initially full time. As time went on, we've both had to get paid work, and work on the truck inevitably slowed down because of that. And we've had a few life changes along the way as well. As you can probably tell, we're reaching the very final stages of the truck restoration, which is brilliant news. But of course, this is only really what we would consider the halfway point of the entire project, because the main thing really was to turn this vehicle into a house on wheels. So we've still got the entire back box, camper, living accommodation to build, but we've run out of money. So We've been having a lot of conversations over the winter about what we're going to do and how we're going to go forward with this, and it's been pretty difficult. You know, we've had to have a few honest chats about how we might actually manage to do this, and we've come pretty close really to just saying, let's call it quits here, let's sell the truck and move on to something else.
No, we didn't.
We did.
I didn't hear that bit.
But we've basically got a loose plan now of how we're going to go forward. We both inevitably decided, having considered the possibility of stopping this now, well, what would we do if we did that? And it always comes back around to, well, we want to do this. And we've still got the same reasons for doing this that we had in the first place. So this year, obviously, we're still finishing up with the truck, but our thoughts are very much turning to now raising the budget so we can begin in earnest the second part of the project, that is doing the back box. At the moment, I'm actually in between jobs, so I'm going to be starting a new paid job at the beginning of April, which gives me a bit more money and will hopefully make our day-to-day living situation a little easier. It's 3 full days a week, which means I should get 3 full days where I can work on this with Tim, which is brilliant. And Tim's got a couple of things in the pipeline as well with work. We don't know if they're going to come off yet or not, but if he did, that would be really good as well. But aside from that, really the main way we're going to raise budget is actually through selling things. And that means that for a short amount of time, we are going to have to pretty much stop working on this and do some other stuff to raise the budget.
Obviously, I'm really into upcycling and using what I can find to make something. But when you start the back of the truck, we need a lot of things. We need steel, we need materials, and we need to have some money behind us to go and do that. We have limited things around here that we can sell, but there are a couple of quite big obvious ones. One of them you can probably see out the right hand side there, right in the corner, is the old truck.
The original old rope salvage truck.
It's kind of almost my dream car, but sometimes other dreams come along as well, so that could be, or is most likely going to be, something that's going to have some attention. It's been sitting there for about 4 years now. It drove in here and it was fine. It had masses of work done to it some years back with the engine, which is an incredible engine in it. And but the truck was going to need some fettling to get it in a good position to sell it. And that's one of the possibilities that we'll do. One of our questions to you, the audience, is would you like to see if we do some work like that? We originally started the channel as Old Rope Salvage to be making upcycled items and weird things, but it's all become a little bit about just this one project. But let us know what your thoughts are if you'd like to see that. I'll film it anyway. If you don't want to see it, I probably just won't put it out. But yeah, that's what we're looking at. So this summer, it's going to be the tail end of putting this together, collecting the parts that we need for this to be running. We would really like to have this out in the summer and driving about. We'd like to get it on some weigh scales. We'd like to go to Mount Edgecombe Car Show down the road. We'd love to get it out and about and to film it driving along. Yeah, so I think over the summer, our focus might be elsewhere, to collect the money together to allow us to take the next step on this big project.
Yeah, it's a transitional period, shall we say, probably for the rest of this year. And then hopefully once we've done all those things, we can then sort of relaunch this project phase 2 in earnest. So in the interim, we will continue making the videos of what's going on. They might not be coming as frequently, but as and when we have interesting stuff to put out, we will put it out. And as Tim says, we will film the stuff with the old truck. I'm sure that most of you who are watching will be happy to see that unfold. and of course the continuing finishing off of the restoration of the Bedford.
Yeah.
So that's what's happening.
This does have to be able to move before we can get that out though, so.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway.
So it's a funny old time
Yep.
for us really, but we just wanted to give you a sort of, as much as we know what's happening, we just wanted to pass that on to you so you kind of have an idea of what to expect from us
Yeah.
this year.
And I kind of like point out with this that we are extremely excited about taking the next step with this, because this is going to be a really cool build.
Yeah, we are committed to it,
Yeah,
I think.
just as in
Yeah.
you've seen some of the things we've
Yeah.
done with this truck, learning new skills, we'll be doing that equally with the back, and maybe our creativity will come out even more with that. So it's very exciting to do that, and I think, well, can't wait to get going
Well,
on
it's
it.
what I've been waiting for the last 4 years, so I'm really determined that we will be doing that soon. Yeah.
Yeah, so that, I guess, as we said, is the end of the video.
Yeah.
We'd like to thank, as ever, anyone who watches these videos. It's been a huge support to us.
Yeah.
It's great motivation. We love the fact that there's an audience out there watching what we're doing. We like to make it as interesting as possible, but we live within the realms of what we're doing, and maybe what we're doing at the moment isn't that interesting. But thanks for sticking with us. Particular thanks to our patrons, as ever.
Thank you patrons, and thanks to everyone who watches and likes and comments. Anyone who's out there who's watched this video through to the end who isn't subscribed, please consider subscribing. The more we can grow this channel, the more income we can get coming in from it, like dripping in bit by bit, which all goes back into the videos and the projects. So it means a massive amount to us. So thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, until next time, whenever that may be. Not too long, I hope.
Not too long. Yeah.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Don't wanna leave anymore.
Well, that was a long video, wasn't it? Sorry about that. If you watched to the end, well done, and thanks for sticking with us. And also, big thanks, as always, to the patrons. With winter finally giving way to spring, progress continues in the workshop. We even got our N, which means Tim has managed to get the number plate on, so another thing ticked off the list. We'll see you all back here again soon. Until then, take care, and thanks for watching.
The good old Neil Young is on my side once again. I can see your eyes and I can feel your pulse.